The clock is ticking on lawmakers to come up with a plan to avoid a partial government shutdown. As we've been discussing, Republicans rejecting a bipartisan plan pitched by House Speaker Mike Johnson to keep the government funded for the next 3 months. The plan drawing the ire of both President-elect Trump and Elon Musk for its bloated, pork-filled budget. Musk writing on X, "The voice of the people was heard. This was a good day for America." Our next guest writes, "Thanks, America, for helping us kill this bad bill." Let's bring in Texas Congressman and member of the House Oversight and Accountability Committee, Michael Cloud. Congressman, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you. It's good to be here, and what a remarkable day it's been.
So why is it such a bad bill?
Well, you know, when we left town, what we understood the conversation was going to be, this was going to be a stopgap, clean CR that gets us into the Trump administration, helps out those in disaster areas from the hurricane, helps out some of our farmers that are in dire straits. And then when we came back, it was a monstrosity. It's a typical hodgepodge DC swamp Christmas tree. And from a process standpoint, it was something that memberships, the elected members, were not involved in the discussions at all. And so this was back to the DC swamp games that we promised we were going to correct. And so it was awesome to see, I have to say. When we woke up this morning, we knew some of us people who vote conservative were going to be against the bill, but to see the American people rise up and to have their voice heard and for it to make a difference in Washington, D.C., it was remarkable.
There's a lot of fear-mongering going on by some Republicans and, of course, the Democrats, Hakeem Jeffries, talking about, the government's shutting down. Republicans, they look what they're doing to you just in time for the holidays. Can you separate facts from fiction for us, please?
Sure. Well, first of all, this is how all the bad stuff in D.C. gets done. It's always under the auspices of fear, whether it's a debt ceiling, whether it's when you come to a funding deadline. It's all the bad things that allegedly will happen. First of all, the deadline was on the 20th for the last CR, and the reason was because it would put us past the pay date for the military, for example. And so they would be okay until January, and of course it would have to be the first thing on the agenda when we came back next term. But we would have the trifecta, so to speak, in the House and in the Senate to do so, and that was always the worst case scenario. But what's being discussed right now is so much more along the lines of what we left town over the weekend, thinking that this bill was going to look like, and it's very likely that would get some headway and be able to pass the House.
Now, pivoting, back in June, Vice President-elect J.D. Vance and yourself, you introduced a bill to eliminate DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion programs from the federal government. And now 9 major companies, Walmart, John Deere, Toyota, Harley-Davidson, are ending their programs. Their DEI, bye-bye. Your reaction, sir?
Yeah. It's awesome to see what we're seeing in the economic sphere, the financial markets. What we're seeing in these businesses is exactly what American people have known all along. We want to have a society that's based on merit, where these kind of things, we want people to show up, work hard, be rewarded for their effort, and not to have the very first thing when you're coming to the office, whether it's an interview or promotion, where you're wondering if it's because of some demographic thing or the like. That's not what this country was built upon. And really, it's immoral what they've tried to push. And it was policy started, of course, in the federal government, but they were trying to, through grant making, through contracting, through all these regulatory apparatuses that the Biden administration stood up, trying to force feed this upon the American people. The American people have wholly rejected it, and the businesses are seeing this in the marketplace and are course correcting. It's a good thing that's happening, but it all starts with the American people standing up and having their voice be heard.